Hi, everyone. I'm Kara from St. Joseph County Public Library, and I work at the Center Branch Library.
And hello, I'm Brad Comden from the St. Joseph County Public Library, and I'm from the Western Branch.
And even though Brad and I work at separate branches, we're both really into comics, so we thought we'd share a few suggestions with you today and also tell you how you can access comics online at home since the library is closed. If you just have a computer, you can go to the website Hoopla Digital on your computer. If you have an iPad or a Kindle, which is what Hoopla works best on, you can download the Hoopla Digital app. And then you just have to log in with your library card, and there's lots and lots of comics on Hoopla to choose from, both DC and Marvel, as well as some other publishers as well. So to begin, we're going to talk about a DC comic, a Batman comic. So let me just share my screen. And if you are brand new to comics and you are not sure where to start, or you're brand new to DC or Batman and you don't know where to start, then this is a good one to try out. It's called Batman Year One, and it's by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. And the premise behind this is it's Batman before he was Batman. This was the inspiration for Batman Begins. So this starts with both Bruce Wayne and Jim Gordon coming into the city. Jim Gordon is starting new at the Gotham Police Department, and Bruce Wayne is coming into Gotham, and he's decided that he's going to fight crime. And he doesn't really have the idea of becoming a bat right away. So you kind of see how that all develops. And then both Bruce and Jim Gordon, they have these parallel plot lines as the story unfolds, and we see more about Gotham's corruption in both the police department and out on the streets. But we don't see a lot of villains that we know, like Joker. We have Harvey Dent in here, but he is Harvey Dent the Man, not as we know him as Two-Face. And we also have Selina Kyle before she becomes Catwoman. So this is like the bare bones of Batman, and you don't really have to know a lot about it. It's a really good introduction.
All right, next up is the comic that I chose, Wolverine, Old Man Logan, by Mark Miller and Steve McNiven. This comic takes place in the Marvel Universe, but one where the villains all decided to get their act together. They all teamed up and they took on the heroes. And there was a big, epic battle, and the heroes lost. And even during the fallout, the villains started fighting amongst each other, which absolutely ravaged the world, turning it into a giant post-apocalyptic hellscape. In this world, most heroes and villains are dead, or they're and they've survived. They then ended up ruling their own territories all over the globe. Now, this comic takes place mostly in the United States, and so they've divided up all these villains, have divided up the United States into all these little different sections, like a place run by the Hulk gang, or a place run by Dr. Doom himself. And so, in this dead/dying world, Wolverine finds himself a kind of like a surrogate father for this young family. He has turned his back upon his fighting ways, and now he's trying to take care of this family in this very dangerous world. But he comes up to this situation where he's forced to take a road trip across this post-apocalyptic world to save his family. And he ends up teaming up with an almost blind Hawkeye in an attempt to do so. But this version of Wolverine, he's been something has incredibly messed him up, and he refuses to fight. He doesn't want to pop his claws, which gets him into a lot of trouble when he's trying to go across country in a very villain-owned world. So I really like this film, and also it was the inspiration for the movie Logan, where they kind of both have that like jaded version of Wolverine who refuses to fight, doesn't want to do anything, and they have to go across country to save the job, which is pretty sick. Let's see. Next up, Kara's next one.
Yeah. Next up is Paper Girls by Brian K. Vaughan, and it was illustrated by Cliff Chiang. And you might recognize Brian K. Vaughan from other graphic novels like Saga. He's won the Eisner Award a few times. And in fact, Paper Girls has won the Eisner Award a few times as well for, some different volumes. This was published by Image Comics. And one of the reasons I really like Image Comics is because they creators have 100% rights from them. So Paper Girls begins, you have these 4 girls who are out the morning after Halloween delivering papers. It's set in the 80s, so they're one of the first girls who are actually allowed to deliver papers or become, paper boys. And as they're out, they end up meeting these time-traveling teenagers who they get in a kind of a scuff with them, but they find out that the teenagers are at war with this other generation of time travelers, which they call the old timers. So they kind of have to, they go on this journey kind of across the city, learning about these like time distortions that have been happening and like these monsters that they end up facing. This has been likened to Stranger Things, I think, because you have like these young kids who are exploring this like monsters and strange happenings, and it takes place in the 80s. So it definitely has a Stranger Things feel, although it is, stands on its own. And if you like science fiction or monsters at all, you would definitely like this book. Even though it's for 12-year-old girls who are the main characters, I would say this book is still really for adults because of some of the violence and graphic language that's used in here. So I would not recommend it necessarily for children. Even though the main characters are 12 years old. But it is a really great book if you're an adult and you like this genre.
All right, the next from media we're going to talk about is manga. Manga is Japan's answer to American comics. So manga are very similar to comics, but except for several different ways. One of which is that manga is read from right to left. So instead of starting like with the normal book, you would start at the front of the book, take that book and flip it around, and you would start that side of a manga. So the manga, again, read right to left, is not just the page itself, but the individual panels as well. The pages for a majority of manga are all black and white, which helps to save on ink, making the manga cheaper to purchase. Manga itself is 27% of all Japanese book sales, which is pretty insane that 1 in 4 books over in Japan that have been purchased are manga or comics. It's my kind of world. Well, so the manga I want to display for you guys today, it is a very popular one at the moment. It's called My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. This manga is a part of Shonen Jump, which is a very popular manga publisher and has been going for years. It's been making comics like Dragon Ball Z, Death Note, Black Cat, My Hero Academia. It's one of the top publishers. It has a good mix of manga if you want to take a look at that. There's actually a website called viz.com you can go and view manga at. It's $1.99 a month, and you will get a good list of shonen titles to go for, which is a really great deal. But back to My Hero Academia. So, My Hero Academia is a world where 80% of the population has superpowers. Imagine the mutants of X-Men, but instead of them being the minority in the Marvel Universe, they're the majority. Most people have powers, and the few that don't have powers, which are 20% of the population, are known as being quirkless. So many of the population there become superheroes to protect this world. And this story follows a young boy named Azuka Midoriya, who is sadly quirkless but desperately wants to be a hero. He's been raised all his life watching all these heroes defend humanity and become fantastic inspirations for him, especially one hero called All Might, who is basically a fusion of kind of like Superman and Captain America. He's incredibly selfless, and he's always throwing himself into harm's way to save everyone. And so Midoriya himself definitely wants to become like him, but he has no quirk. But through a series of events, he finds himself getting the opportunity to go to one of the top hero schools in the world so that he can finally get his chance. And that's My Hero Academia.
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
That's just a few comics that we really like. It's by no means all of the great comics that are available on Hoopla or in the world, but we hope that you'll check these out. If you want to leave us any comments, that would be great. And then we're thinking we want to do some more of these. So I think our next one is going to be on teen comics. So if you have any other genres, because there are lots of comic genres that you're interested in, just leave us a comment about that as well.
And if you want us to talk about any certain comic or manga, leave a comment about that too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, and happy reading.